What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we are going to be talking about this in-game survey that some of you guys might have gotten in your inbox in the past day or so. Now, there's some real significance about this survey, and I'll talk about that in this video. I think it provides real clues to what's coming next in Raid. So let's jump right into it. First, I want to thank my fellow mod Gutler for providing these screenshots. I didn't get the survey in-game myself. If you guys check in-game, you guys might have gotten it, but I did not. So I did have to reach out for these screenshots. So let's jump into this. So the first slide here showing us the in-game survey. You have 3 days to take the survey. Keep in mind that the survey, I've heard that there's some bugs with it. So if you open it, sometimes the link is broken and then there's no way of going back into it to do it again. So just have to be careful. I mean, maybe just unlucky, but it is what it is. So going into the survey, you have to basically confirm this policy agreement, and the survey can only be taken once. Exiting means you cannot take it again. Makes sense. Next slide, verifying your age. And then the main reason for the survey is getting a feel for the population, the player base, about what kind of franchises that the player base is interested in. Now, this is pretty significant, and it is a big clue for people, for us, in deducing what is next in Raid, because in the past they have asked for, customer player feedback on what they want to see from Raid. And you know what was the result of that survey? He-Man. He-Man happened, and He-Man was an option for one of their surveys in the past, alongside other franchises they mentioned. So something like this, it really can materialize into something. So it's a great way to collect some clues and to kind of generate a little bit of excitement and hype on what's next. This means that some kind of collab is probably coming. We've been, getting accustomed to these collabs, right? Every couple months we get a new collab. Sometimes they're, public domain IPs, like for example, Alice in Wonderland, the Asgard, the gods or whatever. Those are just public, right? They just use the ideas. But some of them, they're paid collaborations that have, obviously much more strict timelines and more exclusive content. For example, He-Man comes to mind. Now, let's take a look at this question a little bit further. So which franchises have you heard about? So we got Adult Swim, Metalopolis. Anyways, it's Apocalypse. It's a play on the word apocalypse with the word metal in it. Looks like a cartoon show, but it's an Adult Swim cartoon show, so it's for adults. And then moving on, we have Blood of Dawnwalker. I've never heard of this before, but apparently the franchise looks like a video game. We have God of War. Now, this is a game that I have heard of, and it's a massive franchise. And yeah, this guy would be pretty cool. This guy would be pretty cool as a raid champion. He would be pretty cool. Of course, he's going to be probably a barbarian. But yeah, he would be pretty cool, right? Some kind of like fury mechanic or something where his power builds up. That would be cool. Moving on, we have Shrek. Shrek could be, what would he be? Ogre tribes, I guess, right? Or maybe orcs. But yeah, Shrek could be something too. I don't really like the idea of this because it doesn't fit the aesthetic, to be honest. We have Age of Mythology. I guess this is a game, but there's no real need for Plarium to kind of jump into like Age of Mythology. It looks like some Greek gods here. It looks like Zeus and all that stuff, because it's probably public domain. So next slide here, we have Magic the Gathering. Now, Magic the Gathering is super, super interesting because I think the style of Magic kind of works for Raid. Like, I think it works really well. And Magic the Gathering is pretty massive. I would think like Raid would be similar to if Magic the Gathering ever wanted to make a game, like a gacha game, it would kind of be like Raid, right? Like it would kind of be like Raid. Magic the Gathering obviously has decades of history and characters you can pull from, and it'd be so cool to see some of it in Raid. Like I used to play Magic decades ago and all that stuff. I really enjoyed, obviously the trading aspect and all that stuff was fun about it. But yeah, there's lots of stuff they can pull from Magic the Gathering. Tekken would be pretty cool. Obviously, Tekken, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, that kind of style, it does work with Raid. It would be more, humanoid based. Obviously fitting like Shadowkin and all that stuff. But yeah, you do see some angels in here, so that would be pretty neat to see Tekken. Tekken's a pretty big name as well. And of course, there we go. We got Street Fighter, we got Ryu, we got Chun-Li, we got Akuma. I mean, these guys, definitely can fit in Raid. But which ones do you pick? Which ones would you pick? You probably have to pick like 4 or 5, right? For it to kind of line up with what they did in the past. But which 4 or 5 do you pick? That's kind of hard to hard to decide, right? Like maybe Blanca would be like a demon. Although I don't want to see more champions in like packed factions already. You gotta give some help to like the factions that don't have much help or don't have much characters. Like I haven't looked at all these slides yet in this survey, but when I talk about factions that need help, I think of the Lizardmen, and when I think of the Lizardmen and a collab, I think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just put the 4 turtles into the Lizardmen, and that would be so freaking cool. And then you have like obviously Splinter as the rat, and then he would go into Skinwalkers. That would be awesome. I think that would be great because it's a faction that actually just needs some bodies in there, and the 4 turtles would be pretty cool if you like were able to differentiate them like in terms of style and play style. But yeah, we got Street Fighter here. We got 300, so more warrior style characters. And then we got the next slide here. We got Tomb Raider. Now, Tomb Raider, I don't see, making a big splash, like potentially. I know this is asking which franchises you guys have heard of. So they're getting a feel, a pulse of what the player base, is interested in. But Tomb Raider, like I definitely don't see like that being specifically coming to Raid, just because she's one character and she's basically a human with a gun, right? Like Devil May Cry. I don't think I've heard of this game, but yeah, it looks pretty cool. Again, more humans, so not as exciting to me. There we go. Not sure. So there is an option for not sure, and there's an option for none of these. All right. So after answering the, questions about the franchises that we heard of, the survey goes into these slides where they ask you how familiar are you with each of the franchises that they listed previously. So there's about 10 or 12 franchises that they listed, and they ask you specific questions on each one. This time they're asking how familiar are you with this one particular franchise. They're going to ask you, when thinking of X franchise, what comes to mind? And then they're going to ask you your overall opinion on that franchise. And then they're going to ask you, how do you feel about X franchise's character, art style, and tone as a match for Raid Shadow Legends? So, obviously, if a franchise that you saw listed in a question that you're really interested in, you really want to see it implemented into Raid, you're obviously going to put very suitable, and try to get, some good analytics for Raid, so that maybe Raid can pursue a collab with that franchise. Now, that's very, very cool and interesting because, like I said, one of these surveys preceded the He-Man collab, and He-Man was an option for people during that survey. So I firmly believe that this survey is just a precursor to a collab in the near future, probably I would say maybe a month or 2 away. And the community has a, deciding factor. They are a deciding factor in this process, this decision process here. So if you guys got the survey, make sure you guys select a really, really cool franchise that we want to incorporate into Raid, of course. Now, there's some more exciting things here because I've heard people around the internet and Discords basically saying that Final Fantasy VII was actually listed as one of the franchises being questioned in this survey as well. So it seems like there's some additional franchises that were also listed for some people in some surveys, not just limited to just these franchises in this survey, for example, not just these ones. So I saw somebody mention Final Fantasy VII was mentioned as well, which is very, very exciting to see. Obviously, they have lots of characters. I'm not a big fan of, again, the humanoid characters coming to Raid. I want to see more like, kind of like monsters, mythical stuff coming in. Just because like the human stuff, it just seems kind of plainish, especially with what they can do, I guess. But of course, Cloud or Sephiroth would be super cool to see in Raid. And yeah, I am a little bit disappointed that we didn't see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in any of these mentions. I haven't heard it from anybody as well that they got a survey with the turtles in them, but I think that would be a pretty slick collab, to be honest. Overall, from the options I see here, I think Magic would be pretty cool, although I think it might be maybe too expensive for Plarium to consider. Otherwise, bring God of War. God of War would be super cool as a singular character to bring in. He would be neat, and he would fit into Raid very easily. Anyways, guys, just a quick little bit of speculation here for your interest. I think it's very, very realistic to think that some of these franchises has a legitimate shot of coming into Raid. And a lot of it will come down to what our personal tastes are. So we have the power. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below if you guys got the survey, if you guys got any additional franchises that weren't shown in this video here. That would be cool to hear you guys mention that in the comments. And of course, let me know what kind of franchises are you guys interested in seeing potentially show up in Raid. Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.